You're here because you want the real story fast, without getting too bogged down.
Exactly.
So today, we're looking at something you might actually be seeing firsthand, restaurants closing down. Seems like more than usual.
It definitely does. And we've got some solid data on this. A study from a National Labor Research Institute.
Right. They use local administrative data and this official production index thing.
Yeah, basically tracking output, so it's not just guesswork.
Okay, good. Our mission then, figure out what's really driving this increase in closures. Let's dive in.
Well, the first thing that jumps out is just the sheer scale of it. We're talking about restaurant closures last year actually going past the levels we saw during the pandemic.
Wow, past pandemic levels. So this isn't just like a hangover from COVID.
Doesn't look like it. The study makes it clear overall closures, if you look at online retail, general restaurants, and cafes, well, they had the highest point since tracking started way back in 2006.
2006. Okay, that's significant. That's not just a small uptick.
Not at all. It's a pretty major jump compared to the year before.
So when you break it down, which areas are getting hit the hardest? Is it mainly restaurants?
It's interesting. Online retail, believe it or not, had the highest number of closures, just pure volume.
Huh, okay.
But if you look at the rate of closure, the proportion of businesses closing down within a sector, cafes, were actually number one.
Cafes.
Yep. Followed pretty closely by general restaurants and then online retailers.
So even though more online shops closed overall, your local coffee shop or diner was proportionally more likely to shut its doors.
Exactly. The food-related businesses are showing really high closure rates. That's what the research highlights.
That feels right, anecdotally. Now, something else in the study really caught my eye, this bit about new restaurants failing quickly.
Yes, that's a really striking trend. A sharp rise, specifically in general restaurants and cafes that are closing within just their first 6 months.
6 months? That's barely getting started. What's going on there? Any idea?
Well, the study points to what industry insiders are saying. They suggest maybe an increase in people jumping into the food business without quite enough, let's say, experience.
Ah, okay. So, maybe enthusiastic folks, younger entrepreneurs, or even retirees, finding it tougher than expected.
That seems to be the thinking. Running a food business is complex, beyond just good food.
Definitely. But it can't all be inexperience, can it? The study mentioned a bigger economic picture too, didn't it?
Absolutely. That's flagged as the primary driver, actually. A prolonged slowdown in domestic consumption. People just aren't spending as much.
How long are we talking?
The official data, that production index for lodging and restaurants, it's been falling for nearly 2 straight years.
2 years.
Yeah, it's the longest downturn on their records.
Yeah.
So this isn't just a little dip. It points to a pretty fundamental shift in spending habits.
Okay, so it's not just about one restaurant's management or menu. There's this big economic wave crashing over them.
Precisely. It strongly suggests people are, cutting back on eating out, maybe travel, things like that. And that puts enormous pressure on these businesses.
Right. Okay, let's sort of wrap this up then. Key takeaways seem to be restaurant closures are way up, worse than the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of new places are failing super early, maybe due to inexperience getting into a tough market.
Yeah, that early failure rate is worrying.
But the really big reason underpinning all this seems to be this long economic slump, making people spend less overall.
That nails it. That's what the data strongly suggests. A tough climate out there.
It really does. So that leaves us with a final thought for you listening in. Given these trends, the high closure rates, these early failures, the economic pressure, what kind of maybe innovative strategies do businesses, new and old, need to think about, just to survive, let alone thrive in this environment?
It's a critical question. Adapting seems key.
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.